Listen closely, because what you're feeling right now is not random. The pull in your spirit, the heaviness in your heart, the sense that something big is about to happen. It's real. God is activating your gift today, and whether you know it or not, you're standing at the doorway of a massive shift. You've been sensing that your life is changing, but you couldn't explain why. People who were once close suddenly feel distant. Things that used to satisfy you don't fulfill you anymore. You can't tolerate low energy, small thinking, or shallow connections. That's not you becoming cold. That's you becoming chosen. Your spirit has outgrown old versions of you, and God is calling you into the next level. This is the moment where everything within you begins to align with everything that was meant for you. The shift is happening now. Chosen one, before we go further, like this video, subscribe, and comment, I am ready, if you're prepared for what God is unlocking inside you. You've been feeling different because you are different, and God is making that impossible to ignore. Your spirit has become too strong for old environments, and that's why certain rooms started rejecting you. You weren't pushed out, you were pulled higher. The people who can't go with you are falling away, not because you're losing anything, but because God is preparing you for everything. You thought the confusion you felt was spiritual warfare, but it wasn't. It was a spiritual upgrade. You weren't breaking down, you were breaking open. That intense pressure, that restlessness, that moment you asked, "What is happening to me?" It was your calling waking up. Your gift was always there, but it needed a shifting of your spirit to activate. And heaven has decided that the activation begins now. You may be wondering why you were suddenly isolated, why the noise quieted, why the distractions disappeared. It wasn't loneliness, it was alignment. God needed the volume of the world turned down so you could finally hear Him clearly. The silence wasn't accidental, it was surgical. Destiny required detachment, and what you experienced as separation was really elevation. People who once celebrated you suddenly couldn't understand you because the anointing on your life outgrew their capacity. The ones who walked away were not removed to hurt you. They were removed to protect you. The misunderstanding didn't weaken you. It revealed you. Your private pain is about to become public purpose, and every tear you cried in silence will testify out loud. What once embarrassed you is about to become the reason others follow you. God hides His greatest warriors in seasons of invisibility before He reveals them in seasons of influence. And now, chosen one, something deep inside you is turning on. Your intuition is sharper. Your dreams are louder. You notice patterns, symbols, repeated numbers, messages, warnings. Not because you're imagining things, but because your spiritual senses have opened. You used to think differently and wonder why no one else saw what you saw. It wasn't an accident, it was prophecy. You think ahead because you're called to lead. You feel deeply because you're called to heal. You question everything because you're called to break generational cycles. Your mind was never wired for average, it was wired for assignment. Every gift God gives is activated through pressure, and the moments that nearly crushed you were actually unlocking you. You're not growing into something new. You're finally stepping into who you've always been. The gift didn't suddenly appear. You finally became ready, and once readiness arrived, everything around you began speaking. You've started experiencing signs that you can't ignore anymore. Repeated numbers, vivid dreams, déjà vu that feels too precise to brush off. These aren't coincidences or random brain tricks. They're confirmations. Heaven is speaking in ways your spirit recognizes before your mind fully catches up. Nothing in your life at this point is happening by accident. Every encounter, every inner nudge, every unexpected thought or moment of clarity is alignment. God isn't trying to show you what's coming so you can predict it. He's preparing you so you won't fear it. The right doors in your life will begin opening without force, and the wrong opportunities will suddenly feel heavy, blocked, or uncomfortable. That's not luck, and it's not self-sabotage. It's divine navigation. When something in you feels off, it's protection. When something in you feels drawn, it's purpose. You don't have to understand it logically yet. Your spirit always knows before your mind understands, and the signals you've been receiving are heaven's way of telling you you're walking in the right direction. Keep going. Deep down, you've always felt like you were different, even before you had language for it. You tried to fit into rooms where your soul felt too big. You tried to shrink your voice, your insight, your heart, just to make others comfortable. But that discomfort you felt, that subtle sense of being other, even around people you cared about, was a signal. You were chosen long before you ever recognized it. Your sensitivity wasn't weakness, it was intuition. Your empathy wasn't fragility, it was spiritual intelligence. Your wisdom wasn't random maturity, it was inherited purpose. People noticed something in you before you could ever articulate it. That thing you could feel but not define was your calling. Every time you felt misunderstood, it wasn't because you were difficult. It was because you were designed differently. You weren't built to blend in. You were built to stand out. The world taught you to hide the qualities that God intentionally gave you. But no more. Your life has never been a coincidence. The things you cared about, the things you were drawn toward, the things that made your spirit light up even when no one else understood. Those were clues. You were called before you were born, and everything about you has been whispering that truth from the very beginning. And if you ever doubted who you are, think about this. The attacks you went through weren't random either. The moments life hit you hardest weren't punishment. They were proof. The enemy never wastes energy on someone who has no destiny. Hell doesn't fight the weak, only the chosen. Look back at the battles you faced, situations that should have destroyed you, heartbreak that should have made you bitter, disappointment that should have broken your spirit. Yet, you didn't fold. You kept moving when you didn't know how. You kept loving when life gave you reasons not to. You kept believing even when your faith felt tired. Those setbacks you experienced weren't evidence of failure. They were training. God was molding you in the fire because only someone forged under pressure can carry the weight of the calling you were designed for. You learned endurance, resilience, discernment, not in comfort, but in struggle. That's why the enemy fought you so young, so early, so aggressively. If he could have taken you out before you discovered who you are, none of this could unfold. But you survived what was meant to break you, and survival alone is evidence of purpose. Every time you questioned, "Why me?" it was because heaven and hell both recognized something in you before you recognized it yourself. You didn't go through ordinary attacks because you were never ordinary. The warfare around your life wasn't a sign that God abandoned you. It was a sign that you are dangerous to darkness. The same qualities that made people envy you or misunderstand you are the same qualities that make you powerful in the spiritual realm. Your compassion disarms demons. Your intuition exposes lies. Your perseverance keeps generational curses from continuing. Your mind and spirit were threats long before you knew how to use them. That's why you were targeted. But here you are, still breathing, still evolving, still rising. The fact that you're still here means you won. Everything is beginning to make sense because the veil has been lifted. The signals around you are intensifying because heaven needs your attention. The shift within you is accelerating because your calling is unfolding. The battles you endured were never meant to reduce you. They were meant to reveal you. You are stepping into the version of you that the world has never seen, but God has always known. Don't doubt what you feel. Don't minimize what you see. Don't apologize for who you are becoming. You're not the same anymore, and you're not supposed to be. You're transitioning from survival to assignment, from identification to activation, from pain to purpose. And because of that transition, protection around you has increased in ways you never realized were happening. God has been protecting you long before you realized you needed protection. The things you begged for that didn't happen weren't failures. They were shields. You thought you wanted that person, that job, that path, that opportunity, but God saw what would have drained you, delayed you, or destroyed you. Closed doors didn't reject you. They rescued you. You didn't dodge bullets by luck. God redirected you before damage could reach you. Every betrayal was a warning disguised as heartbreak. Every time someone walked away, heaven stepped in and said, "Not this one, not around this one." You weren't abandoned, you were extracted. Even in moments when you couldn't feel God, you were covered. Others went through the same storms you did and shattered, yet you walked through the fire and didn't burn. What touched others couldn't touch you because you weren't just protected physically. You were protected spiritually. You were surrounded in places you didn't even know were dangerous, and every unseen battle that tried to reach you had to pass through God first. You are still here because you were guarded the entire time. Now you're beginning to feel something shift inside you. A new identity emerging. You don't walk the same, speak the same, think the same, or tolerate the same, and for the first time, you're not apologizing for it. You no longer feel obligated to shrink so others can feel comfortable. You're no longer dimming your light out of fear that someone will call it arrogance. The healed version of you is intimidating because you no longer carry wounds for others to exploit. You're stepping into authority, not superiority, but authority. Grace with strength, compassion with boundaries, love with wisdom. You don't beg, chase, or convince anymore. You attract what matches your worth and you release what doesn't. People who used to manipulate your heart can no longer access it because you finally understand that protecting your peace is not selfish. It's sacred. You're done proving your value to people who could never recognize it, and that confidence didn't come from ego. It came from clarity. Your power flows from accepting who you are without apology, without permission, without shrinking. You're walking in alignment, and alignment makes noise. It triggers those who benefit from your insecurity and inspires those who are meant to rise with you. Either way, you are not going back to who you were. That chapter is closed. You've outgrown survival mode. You are operating in identity now. And because you are finally rooted in who you were designed to be, everything around you is accelerating. The blessings showing up are not coincidence. They are synchronization. Sudden opportunities are proof that you are now calibrated to your calling. Things that were once difficult are becoming effortless because nothing is forced when it's aligned. Doors are opening because you stopped pounding on the wrong ones. Your growth is moving faster because you finally surrendered to the timing God wanted for you, not the timing you wanted for yourself. This is why restoration is happening at a pace that doesn't make sense. It's not slow healing anymore, it's rapid recovery. God restores quicker than life broke you, and you are now stepping into spaces your trauma once convinced you weren't worthy of. Rooms that used to intimidate you now feel like they were waiting for you. You're walking into conversations, opportunities, relationships, and environments that the old version of you would have run from. Not because you've become someone else, but because you finally remember who you are. You're no longer preparing for the blessing. You're inside it. It's not on the way. It already started. The shift you felt in silence is now becoming visible to others. People don't know how you recovered, how you stayed grounded, how you didn't break, and they're not supposed to. Favor doesn't need explanation. Divine timing doesn't need validation. What's happening in your life right now isn't luck. It's a signal that the promise and the preparation have finally met. The momentum you're feeling is going to continue because destiny has no reverse gear. You're moving forward with a speed that matches your assignment, and you don't need to chase anything. What belongs to you is already circling you. The tables are turning because you are ready in a way you've never been ready before, and that readiness is revealing something deeper about who you really are. You carry something that can't be duplicated, imitated, or stolen. People have tried to study you, copy your essence, mirror your attitude, mimic your path, but they always fall short because what rests on you isn't learned, it's given. What you hold is not ordinary talent, it's anointing. Talent entertains, but anointing transforms, and that's why people react to you without knowing why. Some are drawn to you instantly, others feel threatened immediately, and neither reaction has anything to do with what you say or do. It's your spirit announcing itself before you even speak. In the unseen world, you are royalty, and royalty doesn't need validation to know it is royalty. The crown on you was placed by God, not people, which is why people couldn't remove it even when they tried to break you. The enemy's first target was always your identity, because identity is the gateway to destiny. If you ever forgot who you were, the crown would have gone unused. The attacks weren't against your life. They were against your awareness of your authority. Now that you know who you are, now that you wear your crown without questioning your worth, no force of darkness can convince you to shrink back into the version of yourself that stayed small for the comfort of others. You're walking with divine posture, not because you think you're more than others, but because you finally remember that you were chosen long before the world ever had the chance to name you. You were never here to repeat what your family, your environment, or your past handed you. You didn't come to continue the cycle. You came to break it. You carry the shift in your blood. The patterns that destroyed others stop with you. The trauma that was normalized in your lineage is not passing through you. You're not only healing for yourself, you're healing for those who came before you and those who will come after you. You are the prayer someone in your family once prayed, even if you never heard them say it. You are the redemption story of your bloodline. The way you think differently, choose differently, believe differently, that difference is the weapon you were born with. Others before you survived, but you are the one meant to rebuild. You're breaking generational curses simply by refusing to repeat what you lived through. You're refusing to hand pain to the next generation the way it was handed to you. You're refusing to let dysfunction disguise itself as tradition. You're refusing to normalize what God never intended in the first place. Your transformation is shifting the entire spiritual inheritance of your family. Generations you'll never meet will rise because you decided not to break. Your legacy isn't one day in the future. It's happening right now, every time you choose healing over hurt, peace over chaos, faith over fear, destiny over distraction. Your existence is rewriting the story of your lineage, proving that someone who came from brokenness can become the foundation of blessing. And now everything that's been happening internally is about to manifest externally. Expect divine connections that arrive without explanation, resources that show up without striving, and opportunities that locate you without chasing. The timing is shifting in your favor. What was delayed is now being delivered because you are prepared in a way you weren't before. The things you were once praying for are now praying for you. You're about to be made visible to the right people, not through self-promotion, but through divine placement. The conversations that will change everything for you are already aligning. The doors you won't have to force are already unlocking. The relationships that carry purpose are already approaching. Heaven has signed off on your next season, and the evidence is going to be undeniable. The promise is now meeting the preparation. Your development has caught up with your destiny. The version of you who was waiting is gone. The version of you who is ready has arrived. This is the moment your life starts reflecting what your spirit has known all along. Breakthrough isn't something distant anymore. It's surrounding you. The energy you feel when you wake up, the anticipation in your chest, the sense that something is about to move. That's because it already has. The blessing isn't forming, it's unfolding. You're stepping into relationships, platforms, rooms, opportunities, and environments that were always meant for you, but were waiting until you healed enough, awakened enough, matured enough, believed enough to handle them. You've reached the point where your capacity finally matches your calling. You are entering the season you were born for. Not later, not someday, not eventually. Now.